Hi everyone, and this is my review of One Word Kill by Mark Lawrence. Now, do you like time travel? Do you like Dungeons and Dragons? Do you like the 80s? And possibly a sprinkle of just that old Stand By Me, Stranger Things feeling of camaraderie, friendship, all packaged together in a very tight, very digestible is a wrong word, very readable, very bingeable book, a novella, 200 pages. I read it in one sitting. It's great. Now, why is it great? It's great because from the description of it, you'd think that this is a completely different type of book. More than that, if you're familiar with Mark Lawrence's previous work, which, to be fair, I haven't read his Prince of Thorns series, but I am aware of its reputation. His reputation is of a very grim, dark, very dark fantasy author. And this is not it. This is something completely different. We have a main character whose name is Nick. He's a 40-year-old. He lives in England. He's a very introspective boy. The book uses first-person narrative, so we tend to see the world through his eyes, quite literally. And at the very beginning of the book, he's diagnosed with leukemia. And now, this diagnosis, it's not exactly a spoiler, because I don't want this to be a spoiler-filled review, but it's quite literally in the description of the book, in the blurb. And as much as it is important, it's not that the book doesn't dwell on it. Maybe that's tasteless to say. Let's just say, when you hear that a book is about someone with cancer, a terminal illness, you instantly think that, oh, this is a book about grief. And there is an element of that in it, but it's not about that. I wouldn't say it's about that. What it is we have a boy who gets a diagnosis, but his world is changing because he's a teenager, and one of his favorite activities is a D&D session he has with a group of his friends every day. And it's a very, let's say, colorful group of friends. We have a very tight-knit group of friends, and this group of friends has a new member at the beginning of the story, a girl, Mia. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is like a Stranger Things situation, right? Honestly, I saw some of the reviews and I can see where they're coming from, but I wouldn't say that's it. Because as much as I like Stranger Things, and I do like it a lot, Stranger Things is very focused on it being 80s. Everything about it screams 80s. And One Word Kill, honestly, if it weren't for some of the plot points, the fact that it's set in the 80s, it's completely secondary. It's crucial to one of the plot points of the time travel, which again is not a spoiler, it's in the blurb. But the fact that it is in the 80s, I think it adds up to the fact that this is a sort of a coming of age story. Now, and I've said on the record a few times that I'm kind of over coming of stories, but this is done really well. This has reminded me of The Body, the Stephen King novella, or not that they're trying to find a corpse in the woods, but it's like one of those things. It's like one of those things like I never had friends like these, or whatever the quote goes. And he has this group of friends, but when he starts to have his chemotherapy, he starts to see this character following around him, and he's not sure if that's hallucination or not, and there's this all this timey-wimey element in it, and it's all so mysterious, but the pacing is really good. It's a very tight narrative. We have him over the course of 4 weeks, when he's on his first chemotherapy sessions, and during those 4 weeks he is on a quest to uncover this mystery. At first he's hesitant to even share his condition with his friends, but he soon does. Then he, with the help of his friends, he tries to save someone else. Not him, someone else. But by saving someone else, I guess he saves himself, or at least tries to. Now, I don't want to go into the plot. Rather, I'd like to tell things I like thematically. In the written review, in the written reviews, I like to throw around quotes and excerpts from the book. I don't think it works quite as well in video form or even audio form, but indulge me. I want to quote a passage from the book, and it's from the very beginning. It's from where Nick is diagnosed with his illness, and to paint a scene, we have a D&D session going, and kind of one of the interesting things about it, about the whole book, is their D&D session, their tabletop game, kind of seeps through the table, so to say, into the real world. And I can see that someone would think it's a bit on the nose, and maybe it was, but I loved it because it wasn't forced and it worked well. Because, as I said, it's a very tight book, and thematically, it just reinforces the things that are going on. Now, I don't think the actual prose is out of this world, but it doesn't have to be. So allow me to quote one passage. Wandering monsters are an unscripted part of the game. People, creatures, or even events that have small chance of showing up each day and are selected at random from a big chart. I guess Ian Rust had been mine for that day. We never had any luck with them. So in this section he recalls his encounter with a high school bully that he has prior to the D&D session, and I guess the book is sprinkled throughout with this kind of thing where the fictional, in-universe fictional narrative seeps into the world. So for me, I loved it. I give it 5 stars, and from what I understand, all 3 parts will be out this year. The second part is already out, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna review it as soon as possible. I highly recommend it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. If not, tell me how you felt about it. Tell me if I should read his fantasy works next. Thanks for listening. Bye.